Okay. So again, thank everybody for joining today, and we are recording. So for those who could not make it, this will be available on the Lowe Consulting and Development Firm YouTube channel. The goal of this, for me, Felicia Lowe is, as owner of Lowe Consulting and Development Firm, one of the other things I get to do is be executive director of an amazing child advocacy organization, CASA of Houston County. So that stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. And in my time of working with CASA and working with other nonprofit organizations, I have always been amazed or thoughtful about the board of directors. So I'll have people talk to me about organizations, about working in nonprofits, starting a nonprofit. And one of the key things that people forget, and one of the key ingredients, is a very strong set of board of directors, because there are roles, there are responsibilities for the board that are uniquely different than staff, uniquely different than the other set of volunteers that may be working and doing the mission of the organization. So when I wanted to share information, talk about the roles and responsibilities of board members, I thought of nobody other than Jackie McLear, who has served as the board chair of CASA of Houston County for several years, and has great insight and expertise in this area. And so Jackie, we're going to have a conversation, and we'll allow you all to ask some questions too. I know that you all uniquely have talked about being on a board of directors, and just for the other people, what is it? What does the board do? And so, Jackie, I want you to introduce yourself for everyone. Give a little bit of your history and your background.
Okay, hi. Well, good day to everyone. And I apologize, my scenery is not the best. As I mentioned, I'm in the middle of a renovation, so I had to find a space, a corner of my house to sort of set up shop temporarily. So I apologize for that. So my name is Jackie McLear. I'm a veteran of 30 plus years, retired now. I own a travel agencies and a couple of the small businesses, but of course, due to the COVID, um, I'm unable to travel as I normally would be traveling. So therefore, I did the next best thing. I renovated my house. Not a good trade-off, but it will do. Uh, I've been with CASA for quite a few years, and I love the idea of being with CASA because it's a nonprofit organization that's near and dear to my heart. And it allowed me to use all of the skills, as I said, that I spent in the military. If anyone knows the military very well, everything is a volunteer. It's a volunteer basis. So therefore, my volunteering fit right into what I, do with CASA. So I've been in other organizations before, but like I said, CASA is near and dear to my heart. What it means to me to be a board member, first of all, is first first objective one, because they're kids, and that is near and dear to my heart. That is my passion, is to make sure that every child is taken care of. You know, whether it doesn't matter what it is, but I'm particularly interested in that their mental well-being is well served. You know, we can always find food and we can tell when somebody's hungry, but we always can't always tell when their mental health or well-being is being served or protected. And so the advocacy program, you know, under the leadership of Alicia, who does an outstanding job with her staff, you know, when I came upon it, I was able right away to delve into it, you know, heart and soul. I'm also I got 7 grandkids. So that was even more daring for me to be able to participate in that program and whatever I could do. So first and foremost, I was able to relate to the kids because I've worked with kids all my life. And secondly, I was able to give back to the community. Thirdly, it was a passion, so I was able to fulfill a passion need that I had. So in doing so, I covered all those areas. But more, one of the other aspects of it, that I was able to get out into the community and meet like-minded people, because as a board chair, my objective is always to bring into the fold like-minded people who have the same vision and passion for this particular organization. Not every organization would fit your need or your passion. You may like it, but it may not be your passion. You may want to do certain things with it, and that's fine. It's not for everyone. I mean, I love football, but you're not going to see me at a football game, But, if somebody's watching, I may look in the last 5 minutes of the Super Bowl and, okay, I got my fill for the day. But the passion that you bring to it is going to drive everything else. Because when you have the passion for an organization, you will not let anything stand in your way. So every time I go out and I'm out about in the community, I see CASA, I see a billboard, I see whatever I see. I'm always saying, okay, maybe you'll be a good fit for CASA, that type of stuff. So that drives me as a board chair to be always have my eyes and ears open, anything that I see and I can relate and connect to it. So when we talk about being a board member, the desire and the passion is primo. And then, of course, what your skill sets are, because you have to be able to use your skill sets to be able to be of a benefit to the board to fulfill also your requirements. My skill sets, again, being off of a military background, I bring to it, planning, organizing, fundraisers, that type of stuff. So I was able to bring that type of skill set to the organization and lend it. Someone may have other skill sets where they're great with the admin portion of it, whether it be, keeping the minutes or something like that. Everyone has a little niche or something that they can fulfill their desire to. Some may have more time than others. Not everybody has the same amount of time in the day. But whatever time that you have, and you find a way to gratify, your passion for what you're doing. If it's 10 minutes, it's like having a power nap. You can feel good about it in what you do, and it also allows you to develop your skill sets, your networking. I mean, it allows you to grow personally. It allows you to learn things about yourself. It challenges you intellectually. You discover things about yourself that you never knew existed. You may say, great, I want to be a volunteer for this. And when you get into it, you realize, you know what, I really don't like kids.
Mm-hmm.
I like other people's kids, but you know what, on a day-to-day basis, I can. But what I can do is I know other people in my network and field who would be great, who could offer me certain things that I can bring to this organization so I can support them in any other form, shape, or fashion. You may be a runner. So every time we do a fundraiser for, you get out there and you bring your group and you run. So it's whatever you can do, that however you can contribute, for you personally, is a good thing to have. The other thing is that whatever job that you currently have, you find that as you volunteer, it improves your other skills in your current job, because you're now able to take some of the things that you've learned in volunteering into your current job and vice versa. You may have a system, on your job that's working very well, and you says, well, why doesn't the organization use something like this? Well, one, we never thought about it. Two, we may not have the ways and means to understand, and that is something that you can bring to the organization. So it's a trade-off. It works both ways. Um, you know, Another aspect of it is that when you are a volunteer and a board member of an organization, it puts you out there into the community. You make yourself known. People get access to you. You get access to people. I've met a lot of people who probably under normal circumstances I would have never have met. And I met Bruce. He probably doesn't remember me, but I met him a while back on another event that we had. So those are things that stick with you, and you build a relationship, both professional and personal, in times of when it's needed. So a lot of times, if I need something, I would call XYZ persons to say, I need help in this organization. I need help with something in particular. And then I have those who just support me because I said, okay, support me. and they will, and they're those too. Those are good to have also, So it offers you a lot of benefits of being a volunteer and becoming a board member. But if I really have to give one, one couple solid things, takeaways from it would be the desire to serve, the desire to give back, and finding your passion. And once you've found all those things, because as one said that if what you're doing, you would have done it for free anyway, then you've hit the nail on the head. That is where the core and the heart is. And Felicia will tell you that sometimes it says, okay, I'm not going to be a board chair anymore. And by the next day I'm back, okay, you know, I can't walk away from it, because it's in me. I think about it, I see it, that's in me. And so that's my heart and soul from what drives me. So think about it that way. What's your passion? What time do you have that you can dedicate? Because if you don't have the time to dedicate the way you would like to dedicate, as much as you would like to dedicate, then you're really not giving it justice. You need to be able to say, hey, I can give, an hour, I can give 2 hours, but I'll be consistent with what I'm going to be given. And I can count on the organization can count on me to give them that time that I said that I'm able to give to them, because that is just as important, of not being a hit and miss. You have to have commitment to what you do, as a board member. So I've touched and bounced around a couple of different areas.
So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to break down some things. I was writing notes, Jackie,
Okay.
while you were talking. For anybody that's new, now, how many of you on here have served on a board before, been on the board of directors? Okay, so that's good. Good to know. So some of the things that Jackie was saying is, as a board member, you have to have a heart for the mission. So if it's cancer cause, and that means American Cancer Society, that's the place where you're going to go. If it's dealing with children, it's a child advocacy organization. So one, you have to be tied into what the mission of the organization is, because as a board member, you're not always tied or connected to the individual. So in CASA, as a board member, our board members don't directly go visit children. Our board members are helping with supporting the mission of the cause and ensuring the sustainability of the program and being an ambassador for the program. So those are things you have to understand. One of the things she mentioned, your availability. So there are different volunteer opportunities. So some of our volunteer advocates, they can take on cases in the terms of CASA, or some people in the American Cancer Society, they can work just on the Relay for Lives. But if you're on the board, that means you are saying, am I available to show up to a board meeting? Am I available to help in these strategic sessions? So as a board member, your volunteer services are different. It is the foundation of the support of the program, while you're not necessarily touching those other people. Like, you're not touching the children, you're not touching the cancer patients, you're not touching the Alzheimer's patients, but you're serving on that board that's saying, hey, we're going to push this mission forward and we're going to ensure the sustainability of the program. And then the other thing that she was saying, your skill sets, know what your gifts and talents are. If you're good with flyers, you may say, hey, if somebody on the staff needs something, then I'll help. But again, the board is not the staff. The board is there to support the staff and to support the volunteers that are operating the mission. The board is saying, how can I tell people what's going on? Okay, Elaine, I see your hand is up. So you have a question?
Yeah, my question is twofold.
Okay.
First, you was mentioning the skill sets when you're on the board, to figure out what you want to do and how can you help and contribute. My question is the organization looking for specific skill sets in a person, or just come with the skill sets you have and contribute as you can? That's my first question. How are they looking at your skill sets? My second question is, as being a board member, is it an elective position, or is it just a voluntary where you say you want to be a board president, vice president, etc.?
I'll get that second question, then I'll let Jackie handle that second one. So the second question you asked was, is it elected or volunteer? So all organizations are different, and that's where, if you're interested in a certain organization, is asking them what are the qualifications for the board. So for us with CASA, we as board members, Jackie and those that are really connected to the cause, they look in the community and say, hey, I think this person may be a good fit for our board of directors. And typically myself or Jackie will sit down and talk to them, go through the roles and responsibilities. So each organization is structured differently. Some people elect them. Now within our board, we will bring and introduce people and ask if there are any objections. And for us, if a person is genuinely ready to jump on board, delve into the mission, then and bring their skill set, their network to the organization, then we'll open the door to them. And then again, we go through the roles and responsibilities. So in our organization, we have a packet. And so if you are a structured person, you definitely want to make sure that you get in somewhere where they have some organizational structure. And if not, that may be your skill set to say, hey, let me help put together a board packet. So for us, we have agreements, roles and responsibilities. We go down those things and say, hey, this is what you're saying as a member of our board to be a part of. So each organization is different in how they bring on members to the board.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the other one was, how do you look at the skill set that a person has? Okay, Jackie, you want to touch bases on that?
Yeah, it pretty much sort of ties back into what you just said, Felicia. How do we look at it? Because I appreciate all volunteers who are dedicated and committed to the cause. So whatever skill sets that you have and you bring to the table, I will almost guarantee you that we can use them.
Mm-hmm.
I would never want to turn anyone away who has a sincere desire and a passion and a willingness to serve, because I may only be looking for somebody just to be the secretary or something like that, to take notes at our meetings. No, we will work that out. This is about what you bring to the table and what you've got, because the thing about it is, I don't know what skill sets you have. This is not a paid position, it's a volunteer position. So I want you to bring whatever your game is. I am positive that we can use it, because you may bring something to the table that we were lacking. We did not realize how we were lacking it,
Mm-hmm.
and open up a whole new door for us that we will welcome. Because the goal of any board really, first of all, is to serve the mission,
Mm-hmm.
and continually improve, the objectives of the mission.
Uh-huh.
So one of our big objectives, of course, because we are a nonprofit, we have to raise funds. That is always one of our primary goals. So you may come to the organization and you says, you know what, I am great with raising funds. Bingo, as we like to say, you're hired. You know, uh, so that would kind of put it into focus, and just to kind of give you a little bit of flavor how maybe the decisions are made. We have to ask the right questions of the person. Things like, what do you know about the organization? Have you done your research about the organization to see if you're a good fit for the organization? I may think you may be a good fit, but you may not, because I'm interviewing you as just as much as you're interviewing me.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty critical right there. So I may say, gee, you're wonderful. And you may go like, well, I don't think it's a good fit for me. I love what you do, but it's not a good fit for me. Um, uh, the characteristics of, being a board member, one of them, like I said, that we do a lot of fundraising. If you're a person that just loves to get out there and you have a great comfort level with the public and stuff like that, okay. If you're not somebody that says, you know what, I will do anything behind closed doors, but do not put me in the public, that does not mean that you're not a good board member. That just means that's not the skill set that you brought to the table. but you may be great at handing out the flyers or setting up the tables or whatever it is, that we're doing. Um, you have to be able to calendar, your experience, all those things play into it. So it's not just one little thing, it's a complete package.
Mhm.
And only you will determine how well, after you have looked at the organization and you looked at our mission and you have a discussion with us, you will determine how you fit into how you can fit into that organization. And we will also be upfront and open with you that, hey, this is how you fit into the organization also. Understanding the mission of the that we have to do, we can come to sort of consensus what it is we're looking for. Hopefully that answers your
Right.
question.
Yes, thank you.
And then I'll say this as a board member. So you have the thing of having the heart of the mission. So that means you want to connect to an organization that you connect to the mission. And then she talked about the sustainability support. So nonprofit, and I share this with executive directors, nonprofit does not mean not a business. So the same type balance sheet, the same type things that everybody has in a for-profit business, a nonprofit organization has the same thing. You have liability, you have all of those things. So as a board, you come with the mindset that, one, what kind of sustainability plan do we have? Encouraging whatever board you're on to have a diversification of funding, because if you're solely funded by grants, then if something happens to those grants, then that reduces the money. It doesn't reduce the need in the community for the organization you're part of, but that reduces the grant. And then you want to, one of the webinars on for nonprofit organizations was the biggest key to successful sustainability is individual donations. So you want to look to see, how does your organization, how can it raise those individual funds? And so as a board member, there are different things you can do, and some of them are not major events. Like Jackie was instrumental several years ago, and we had our big silent auction and evening of jazz. That was huge. And one of the things as board members, though, you don't want to event yourself out. So you're not, as a board, event planner. So what you want to do is have maybe 1 or 2 successful events so that you can do other things on the board, that awareness. So your sustainability support, all board, now for our board members, everyone is expected to give some form of donation. And if we don't have an amount, and that's mainly because if we're asking other people to support, as a board member, you should be willing to make an annual contribution to that program. So we have an annual donation. There's simple things like one year Jackie did we all have a birthday. So she did her Facebook birthday cause was for CASA of Houston County. We have an annual fund campaign where we ask our board of directors to send out a letter, and now in this day and age we do email, send out this email to at least 10 people. So as a board member, you are saying that I'm going to use my network to help bring support for this organization. Because again, how can you ask the community support and as board members we're not supporting, or you're not donating and giving to the cause? So there are simple things that can be done to have huge impact. So always think about that as a board member, having the heart for the mission, understanding the sustainability support, using your skill set, and being that ambassador part is huge. That's just talking to, if your friends and family don't know that you're a part of a board, then do you really have that the mission in your heart? Everybody should know that you are on the board for American Cancer. And I say that because when we say those names, one of the things I do in our board retreat is I'll put up that logo. Everybody knows what that logo is. So that means the people that are tied to you, whatever organization you're a part of, they should know Elaine is on the board of directors for this program. Bruce is on the board of directors for this program. And so you want to bring in your network as well, because it not only raises funds, but it raises awareness for that cause, okay? The availability, know what that board, know what their time is for their board meetings. For us, we meet every other month. Ask the questions you know, when do you meet? How do you meet? Now we have gone, of course, with, you know, things happening in COVID, we have gone to virtual board meetings. And so that's been good. That helps now. We don't have to have people all coming, trying to get to the courthouse and sit down. So know what your availability is. And for us, we say that our board members should have to attend at least 80% of board meetings before you can make decisions. So again, it's showing your engagement in the program. And another, as an ambassador for the cause, another thing is that the board are some of the biggest cheerleaders for the staff and the volunteers. With us, there's not been a community event that we've had or a volunteer appreciation that we've had, and Jackie's been there. She's always gonna thank our volunteers for working and volunteering and fulfilling the mission of the organization. And she is always going to champion the staff and supporting the staff verbally. Now, if there are things that are going on in our organization as a board, as executive director, now I'll get with Jackie and tell her sometimes, say, hey, these are some of the issues that's going on in the program. These are some things. And those are conversations that she and I have, but in the public eye, it is, this is who we are. This is what our program does. This is who our volunteers are. And then also as board members, whatever organization you're part of, you should always want to ensure an annual appreciation of those volunteers, because depending on that organization and how they utilize those other volunteers, they are the ones getting the mission out there. You have to have your professionally trained staff. And as board members, when you go on, this is something about board members that you have the opportunity. When you're looking around, you know, encourage that professionally trained staff, because when you have those people that stay on the staff, it helps to ensure that the mission keeps going. Because if you always have staff turnover, then that means that mission is being interrupted. Encourage an organization that has a benefits package for staff. Again, nonprofit does not mean not a business. And so when I brought my skill set and my background to CASA, I did it leaving other industries, but I always knew that nonprofit organizations needed highly skilled and trained people just like other organizations. And so have that expectation when you come in. I'm thankful to us and to the mindset of Jackie. We are very progressive. We are open. We want what's best for the staff, what's best for the volunteers, and not try to hold, you know, things back. We operate in current time. And so you want to bring that to a board, because you can help drive how that mission is put into the community and how that staff is supported, right? If they know that usually you're going to have the executive director is going to be the one that comes to you. And every now and again for us, I'll have a staff member come or even a volunteer to come to our board meeting, so my board members can know and hear from the volunteers who have the boots on the ground, right? So there's a lot that you can do as far as driving the mission when you're on as a member of the board. Shauna, I see you're on. Welcome, and just note we are recording the session as well, but thank you for joining the call. So Bruce, Elaine, are there any questions? What other things about being on a board?
I do have another question.
Yeah.
How do you, as a board, measure your level of success? And how do you create goals for the board?
One, in goal setting is we have an annual, if it's not annual, we do it every other year, board retreat. We may do a mini retreat, and that's where we sit down and strategically plan, okay, what are the goals of the organization? For me, I have the program goals, and I may bring those to the board and say, these are our program goals. And so as a board, how do we ensure, or how do we help make sure these goals go into place? So we have a strategic, we have board retreats, and we just talk about those things, strategic planning. What can we do? Okay, what event are we going to do for the year to make sure that's our our fundraising event or events so we don't event ourselves out. You know, what are the goals for us as a board? So we do those retreat, and you need those strategic planning sessions. So you need those board retreats. What was your other question?
How do you measure the level of success?
Different ways. For me, it is since our goal is to advocate for the kids in the community as a program, our goal is to have an advocate for every child that's in foster care. So we look at our numbers. How many kids are we serving? What do we need to do in order to serve more kids? And a couple of years ago, I only had one other full-time staff person. And so I knew that we had to hire somebody else. So again, that comes to the board. In order for us to get to this goal of serving all the children, I have to hire somebody else. When I'm looking at hiring somebody else, I come from a business background, so I have to ensure that we are giving them benefits, that their salary is, you know, competitive in a sense. Now, we are still one of those staffs that we do so many, we wear a lot of hats. So we measure success by what have been the goals of the organization, how are we serving our kids, how are our volunteers doing. We do annual evaluations from our volunteers, so we get their input to see what's going on. And we also do annual stakeholders. That means our judge, anybody that's connected to our program. Annually, we get feedback from them to see how we're serving and if there's something else that we can do to best serve them. Jackie, what would you say as far as a measurement of success?
All of the things that you mentioned, I mean, one of our measurements is always, I mean, to be striving, you know, and that's just a goal in itself, just to thrive, to get to make sure that we've got coverage for all of the kids. It's a high goal, and we hope one day to achieve it completely, but that is always constantly one of our goals. And if we've got a child that we can serve, if we've had a child who has successfully been adopted out, you know, the success stories, or they've been returned to their parents, you know, whatever the success stories are, that is some of the goals that we work with and we continue to work with. And I think the Mayor idea, one of our major achievements in that we were able to bring on another staff member to help facilitate that process. Again, that is a good marker for us, you know, in incrementally, because like she said, the more staff members we have, the more we can serve the public. And of course, if you have more staff members, the staff members get to train more volunteers, you know, and so it's a circle that we have to keep fulfilling. We've been pretty successful in getting volunteers for all of the classes. So that is a good measure of success for us also, because not everyone can get volunteers and train and have them stick around for the entire class, because it is a commitment on their part to be able to stick around for that entire class and graduate from it. We've had successes in where we have a yearly, not this year, but Hands Around the Courthouse, where that increase our visual effects in the community, you know, our marketing and our awareness in the community. So those are some of the types of successes that we have. When we started off with Hands Around the Courthouse, we had 10 people. You know, when we last did it last year, we were over 100, you know, plus people to circle. Our goal is to circle the courthouse, you know, and get more publicity in it and awareness in it. So they're small goals, but they're very beneficial goals. And that's how we market that we're moving forward in our goal planning.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so wherever you are, you take that mission of the organization, break it down, and how do you get to those steps? What are your goals as far as community awareness, and how do we get there? Internally, I have short-term and long-term goals that we work on as staff. So not only as board members do we have a board retreat, but I also do staff retreat. Regardless of how many members on your staff, if it's more than one, you need to have a staff retreat. So we get away and we do look at where and how we want to serve as staff and how we want to work. What do we need? And it's the same thing as board members. You need to get away and strategically plan. And when you plan for those goals, then you need to have measurable steps along the way in whatever that mission is.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? So key components, again, as a board member, you got to have a heart for the mission. You have to understand the sustainability support, diversification of funding. You have to be willing to use your network to champion the cause of the organization, and also understanding your availability, your willingness to jump in and say, hey, I'm going to support this mission by being on the board. And again, understanding that the board is the one that's looking at paper and not touching the children or the people who are out working the mission. You can definitely support them, but the board as the volunteers has its own set of roles and responsibilities. And when you join a board, you know, like I say, ask, what are those roles and responsibilities? What am I agreeing to do? And then be committed to it. For us, we have a term limit of 3 years on our board. Usually that first year you're in, you're gung-ho, and you're ready to run with it. And then by that second year, that's when you're kind of comfortable. And then sometimes in that third year, that's when you may say, okay, I need a refresher. I'm not where I was in my first year, so I may want to take a break. And for us, we look at, if you're still at that level of commitment where you can go in and serve at the level you started, then we allow you to stay, which is why Jackie is still on, is my board chair. But then after the third year, some people, it is time for them to roll off because they're not thinking about the sustainability of the program. Their goals may be somewhere else and their focus may be somewhere as well. So understand what the time limit is for that, for your time on the board too. Okay, and then the support of the staff and the volunteers in that organization. And then be mindful about the need for strategic planning as a board. Those are key, I think, key ingredients that every set of board of directors needs. And I say, for us, I'm thankful, be progressive in your mindset. Again, there are certain things that has to happen, especially not meeting face to face. So be open, be progressive. You know, how can we continue with the mission? For us, it is, you know, going to Zoom versus meeting face to face. And that's the same thing with our staff and with our volunteers as well. But I always want the best for the organization. If you ever get into a position where you're like, oh my gosh, I got another staff meeting, I got another board meeting, I got this, then kind of assess and see if this is where you need to be at that time. Because again, if you're not showing up, if you have a board of 5 to 7 people, and if you're not showing up, then that means the work doesn't go away. That means now the 3 people that are showing up are responsible for doing all the work. So always know you're going to be all in as a board member.
That's true. And the only other thing that I would add, Alicia, to probably, you know, what roles do boards serve, and to sort of sum it up would be, you know, as I read a quote here, the most important, boards are entrusted with advancing the mission of their organizations and serving as representatives of the community. That's key right there.
Right. When they see you, they see the cause.
Right.
Bruce, Ashana, you guys have anything?
Ashana, I'll allow you to go first. Okay. Well, certainly I have a lot. Lisa and Jackie, I do remember you. I owe you guys. I have been in classes all over the place, Lisa, and never have gotten this much information. So I'm in debt. I feel so inadequate. But moving forward, I'll be a much better supervisor at the folks here at the college. Thank you all. I owe you all. Please sign me up and allow me to be a part again. So, you know, really, this is great. I'm sitting here smiling back and forward because this is great information, and you're so right. You got to be you have to be adamant about making change. And so with all, from the bottom of my heart, I really want to be a part and to do all I possibly can to work with you guys and to go from there. But really great information. I joke a lot, as you recall, Lisa, but very serious about the information I just heard from you guys. This is great information, and it will cause me to think closely about what you're engaging in, what you're signing up for, and the importance of being serious about it. So again, thank you guys. Send me an email, fillable form, Lisa, and I'll fill it out and get it back to you guys.
Wonderful, thank you, because that's our goal. In any venture that you all take on, you should always be informed about the roles and responsibility. And even as volunteers, whether it's volunteers for the mission of the organization, volunteers on the board level, is to know what you're signing up for. And I tell people all the time, just because you're a volunteer doesn't mean you don't have expectations and you don't have responsibilities. I volunteer for organizations outside. You know, I work with CASA, and I'm a volunteer. And working with CASA has always made me a better volunteer in other capacities, because I understand you got to be committed, and so they need that. So Bruce, Bruce, we have been talking to Bruce about being on our board of directors for CASA. So I will definitely get that board package to you today, so you can review.
Yes.
And we'll get ready. Shauna, did you have anything?
Sorry, I'm here. No, I'm good. This has been great. I'm sorry. I'm got a lot going on over here, but I definitely wanted to pop in here and get as much as I can.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for joining. Again, the session is being recorded, so it'll be available on the Low Consulting YouTube channel. And then what I'll do is just send you all the link as well. As far as recording, Elaine, do you have anything else?
No, no other questions. Thank you. It was a great session.
You're more than welcome. You're
great information.
Okay, so you guys think that you're ready to be informed and engaged board member?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, all
After
right.
a session like this, we have no choice.
Well, we look forward to having you and welcome you.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to start recording really quick. And
when is the next meeting? Board meeting, Ms. Flo?